Hello, and thank you for joining us for this week's Rise and Thrive with EHE Health, an interactive series where we discuss all things health together. My name is Natasha, and I'm an event coordinator with EHE, and today we're joined by EHE Health Mentor, Jon Berman. Welcome, Jon.
Hi, Natasha. How you doing today? I'm so excited to be part of the Rise and Thrive series and looking to talk about holiday stress today, which I imagine we all feel at some point.
Yes, absolutely. I know the holidays, especially nowadays, can be so stressful. So thank you so much for joining us and covering this topic with us. But before we jump in, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, cool. So I'm a licensed master social worker. I got my undergraduate degree in psychology from small upstate school in New York called SUNY New Paltz. Ended up getting my master's in social work from Florida State, so a bit of a different experience. And for the past few years since I graduated in 2016, I've been a social worker. I've been a mental health counselor, working with children all the way up to elderly and all different kind of disciplines. And since I've been with EHE and kind of going into the health mentorship role, I've really become the quote unquote stress management, mental health person on the team. So feel like obviously we all are stressed. So I feel like this is a topic that I definitely hope I can help some people about.
Yeah, that's great. I think I know everyone goes through different things during the holidays. So I'm looking forward to seeing what advice you even can provide me. So the holiday season can be a difficult time of year. So even in normal circumstances. So this year we may have loved ones are gone or be still hurting from loss of past loved ones. What are some ways that we can find emotional balance during the holiday season?
Okay. Yeah, I think this is going to be a difficult one, and especially with Omicron coming, who knows if we are going to be able to still meet with our families. But I'd say kind of the most important thing is really just to set a positive intention about the holidays. I think typically we go in with these grand ideas. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be no problems. There's going to be no stress. But typically that doesn't happen, whether it's Uncle Ned has a few extra drinks or Aunt Liz is bringing up topics we don't want to talk about. It's difficult. So I feel like something that's really essential, whether it's with you, your family, is to really just kind of set that intention before you go. Like, I'm going to make the best of this situation. It might not go as planned. It might not be exactly what I expect, but finding those good times in there, having those in-depth conversations with your family, just really just taking it easy. We're all so busy right now. We're navigating a pandemic that haven't faced in 100 years and other stressors in the world. So trying to find the positivity even in a negative world, in a negative situation, things we might be facing, I think is really vital right now.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Just having that going into it with a positive mindset, that's great. That's something so easy that any of us can do.
Yeah, and I think it's easier said than done. I think there's times where we can be triggered by so many different things. I think our families, as much as we love them and care about them, I think typically they probably cause us the most stress. So I think it's really just kind of finding those moments that is really a big part of it, and setting that morning up of like, okay, today's going to be the best it possibly can, and it might not go exactly as planned, but let's just have a good time.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. What
And
other tips do you have?
yeah, I would say a big thing is taking that break. It makes me think of Thanksgivings, holidays past, where me and my sister have gone into it, or noticed things going on where maybe instead of kind of pushing and pulling and like continuing that argument, you got to take a break. I think sometimes you go to the bathroom, you take a step outside, just kind of collect yourself, because there's going to be contentious moments. I think these are things that we can't avoid, but we do have control of is what we do with ourselves and putting ourselves in the right environments, the right situation. So we take a break, we go outside and just have a drink of water. We go in the bathroom and just like kind of look in the mirror for a few seconds and collect ourselves and remember like that one incident, that one contentious topic, the one stressful experience doesn't have to define our holiday. And I think tying this back into the positive intention, we want to define this experience as positively as possible. And it's not going to be perfect. And we can't let that one little thing or that one argument really take control or define our holiday experience. So taking that break is vital. And it's important that we give ourselves that opportunity, because we're not control over what potentially what food is there or who's coming, but we do have control to take that minute, take that 5 minutes, take that 30 minutes and take a nap, whatever you have to do to just take a break if you're feeling a little stressed.
No, that makes so much sense. I think sometimes, especially with your family, you just get to be so comfortable that you try to like get into the argument, and it's just like exactly what you said, take a break, step back, and is it worth it? Is it worth that extra stress on yourself?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's like we have to just make those decisions in our mind, and potentially not that our instinct might be, okay, I'm going to get into it with my sister again, but maybe taking that 3-second kind of grounding techniques, using mindfulness of just being in the moment, ground yourself and recognize, okay, is this fight worth it? And then 99 times out of 100, you're going to realize it's not, and you take a break.
hmm Yeah, that's great advice. Any other tips that you think we should practice to find emotional balance?
Definitely. So I'm going to talk personally for me. I have a morning routine that works really well for me. And that allows me, I feel like, to get a good start in the day with some exercise, with some meditation that allows me to feel grounded and calm when I start the day. But I don't get that when I go on vacation, when I'm going to my cousin's house for Thanksgiving. I don't have that option. So I think what's really important is to maintain as much of a schedule or your routine as much as you can during the holidays, even if it's at a hotel, even if you're sleeping in your old childhood bedroom. Find ways to create some semblance of routine and like control. Again, a lot of this comes down to control. And I think during the holidays is a time, and especially with the pandemic, we're not feeling as control as we used to be. We don't have as many options. We have to be a lot more careful. But we always have that personal control of what we do and what we think. So I think creating some semblance of a routine, especially if you're traveling, you're going home, figure out a way that you can ground yourself in the morning, set that positive intention, and allow yourself the opportunity to like set your day on a good point. And a lot of this starts with I'm a morning person. I like to get up around 6 or 7 and like get started. I know that's not for everybody. Even if you just have 5 minutes before you have to get ready for a huge family breakfast, give yourself those 5 minutes to, whether it's a meditation, whether it's a yoga, whether it's a walk around the house, or just kind of being intentional, talking to yourself. Positive self-talk, I think, is really important right now.
Yeah, that's great. I agree. I'm definitely a morning person as well, and I don't like to get up at 6 or 7, but I do enjoy my mornings to myself. So that's definitely something I do in the morning. Just even get a little bit of a stretch in, even if some days it might only be for a minute. Other days I might, wake up a couple minutes early and I might be able to
Mhm.
get 5 minutes in. But definitely that stretch just like gives me time to get in my head in a positive way and remind myself like today's going to be a great day. Like I'm so happy I can move my body. I'm so grateful I can go to work. So all of that is just having that routine definitely has affected me in a positive way. So I'm so happy you brought that up for everyone else as well.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that. And one thing I want to take from what you said of being grateful, you're grateful for that stress. And I think expressing gratitude is so important, especially like with family stress that can come and holiday stress that we can get kind of sucked up in that instead of being grateful. Okay, like despite what's going on in the world, despite the stressors, potentially living in different states, different countries, we got to be grateful that we have our family, we have our friends around us. And I think that's really important that you brought up being grateful. I do want to add one thing from what you talked about in the beginning in terms of potentially not having loved ones around, people who've passed during COVID or anniversaries. I know personally for me, my grandmother passed last April. So this is the first holiday season without her. And it is very difficult. And I think a way to kind of handle this is honor the memory. I don't think you have to push it away or not think about it, but really think about those good times and good memories. If you need to have a good cry, that's all right. A good laugh is fine too. But I think expressing and communicating, whether it's with yourself in a journal, writing it down, or just talking to yourself or talking to your family, I think it's really important to bring that up instead of letting those feelings kind of bring you down or thinking about, because yes, they might not be there in person, but I know personally, I think my grandmother is here in spirit. So I think something that could be helpful for people in terms of who are dealing with grief and loss at this time of year.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother. I
Thank
also
you.
lost my grandfather 3 years ago, right before the holidays. And that's something that I try to make a priority is just honoring him. I know he wouldn't want any of the family to be sad or upset that he's not there. He would want us all to get together, play his favorite card games, and have an extra cookie for him. So that's great. Definitely honoring your loved ones. I feel like that makes a huge impact and can maybe bring the family together, in a different way. So maybe help avoid some of those heated topics that you might get into with loved ones.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, I know that like my grandma doesn't want my sister and I to fight, or she wouldn't want any of this. So I love that you brought up like your grandfather. And again, sorry for your loss too. And it doesn't get easier. Like, it doesn't matter if it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, it's still tough. Grief and loss is something that we deal with for the rest of our lives. But I think that is something important to remember in terms of, okay, like, is this stress really worth it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And within those griefs of whether lost family members or not being able to be with family members because of distance and the pandemic that's going on, what are some tips to keep our spirits and overall health high during the holiday season?
Definitely. So I'd say the first one is avoiding contentious topics. I think we are in such a politically charged world. There's a lot of divide for a myriad of issues. So I think this is a time where I'm not saying it just has to be surface level conversation, but if you and your cousin have completely different views and you're very staunch in your views and they're very staunch in their views, maybe this is the time where you kind of avoid that. You put that on a back burner, because these are things that are not going to change with this one discussion that you have, and potentially getting into it with one of your family members that affects the whole party. So I think that this is a time where you kind of avoid those contentious topics and you really focus on, okay, let's leave like the Democrats, Republicans, let's leave all these other things, focus on more maybe the Alabama Cincinnati game, focus on things more like that instead of kind of those contentious topics.
Yeah, definitely having some of those like fun facts or sharing stories with loved ones just to keep it, like you said, lighter, and it doesn't have to be surface level. Just like talk about your favorite restaurants and cities you live if you live in different cities. So that's all like great just to have in your back pocket, just to have a couple. And then I feel like it just makes the conversation roll from there. And there's no need to try after that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so easy. And I think a big part of this is potentially avoiding, like, you see somebody tries to get your goat and tries to get you started on a topic. Maybe this is where you take that break, where you take that 30 seconds, where you're riled up inside. But instead of kind of falling victim to those contentious topics, those potential stressful moments, is like you take a break and you really just kind of focus on the important things, the things that you love. Because I would imagine with your grandfather and my grandma, like, I remember those things when I was 10 or 12, those funny times where she like yelled at my dad and sister for coming late and it was hilarious, or the time like the food fell on the floor, and it was like, those are the things you want to remember, not the fights about like what you think Congress is doing right now.
Right, exactly. No, that's a great point. Any other things that might help us keep our spirits and health healthy during the season?
Definitely. I think one thing is recognizing that, like, especially a lot of about EHE is preventative medicine. So we're doing things that like we're trying to keep in good health. And I think during the holidays, it might be a few extra drinks or a few extra cookies, and recognizing that, say we fall off our routine and our typical lifestyle habits, that we have that ability to get off track. I think typically this time of year, it's difficult to kind of stay staunch in your routine, especially if it really works for you. There's pressure to kind of conform. Again, like if it's drinks, if it's food, if it's coffee, if it's like whatever it is, all the different things that you're eating or drinking and maybe not getting your exercise, recognizing you can get back on track. Maybe if it's 2 days later, it's the next day or a week later, recognizing you have that control. I think a lot of this, Natasha, comes back to the control, where we feel so out of control during the holidays, but recognizing we do have that ability.
Yeah, something, it gets me every year this time of the year. I get just going to holiday parties and gathering with friends and doing gift exchanges. I guess in past years, not quite so much this year and the previous year, but just getting together, I definitely lose track of just my routine. And I've been so much more mindful of that, trying to be. I think as I have gotten older, of just, like still go for the gym, or, walk a couple extra blocks, get off the train early so you can walk a couple blocks just to get a little bit more exercise and So then later I not like trying not to eat as much at dinner, or, not enjoy my time because I'm like, oh, I have to, get home and get sleep. It allows a little bit more balance during the holiday seasons.
Definitely. I think that's a great point of like really just enjoying your time, not like limiting yourself. Okay, if you know you're gonna like go crazy with like the 7 fishes or eating like a ton of Christmas ham or anything like that. Okay, maybe the day before you're a little lighter on your food or a little heavier on exercise. Like giving yourself that ability when you get on that day, like, and that comes back again to the positive intention of don't limit yourself, enjoy this day as much as you can, especially I think in a time like COVID, when we do get to see our family. And I know I have certain patients of mine who have family outside the country, who haven't seen their family in 2 years and are going to visit them, where like you're going to savor the good times. Like I think that's one where you can put into perspective. I'm not going to kind of get fed up with myself of having an extra cookie or having a disagreement with mom. Like, no, I'm going to focus on like the love and the care and like just the compassion I feel with my whole family. So I think that's a really good point that you brought up.
Mhm. Yeah, just taking that time to be in the moment and, enjoy it, not have to like have any distractions from that.
Mm. Yeah, and I think like kind of just to in terms of with everything that we've kind of said today is really savoring those good times and really recognizing like what is going on in the moment. I think it's so easy, even if we're there for a day, 2 days, 3 days, we kind of just let things go. But as with a lot of my patients, from when I was a social worker to a clinician to a mentor, I love writing down things. I think typically like we don't like put the pen to paper anymore. And yes, we can notate this in our phone, but really writing down those funny things that happen when grandma's pants split, when she was bringing like the cookies over, or like stuff like that, those good moments of just recognizing, okay, like maybe you got to cuddle with your dog and that you haven't seen in a few months. Like those things, I think it's really important to recognize, because yes, there's going to be tough, stressful times that get up that occur, but you're not going to really remember those times. What you'll remember is the good times with your dog, the funny times with grandma, all of those different things. So I think it's really important to be intentional about remembering or writing down these good things that happen, because I can imagine you, me, like we have tons of countless memories that we can remember, but also ones that maybe we don't remember, but maybe if we wrote them down, like, okay, I forgot about this, but it really was amazing. So I think that's something like it's not a typical thing to do, but I think it's something that could be helpful, especially this year where maybe it's a little bit more stressful than usual.
Yeah. And when you said that, it kind of resonated what you mentioned earlier as far as like grounding practices. I feel like writing could be a great way to like ground yourself like throughout the day, or just like when you go to the bathroom to check in with yourself. Just, taking that time to just like reflect and um, looking to see what good things have happened within the day.
Exactly. And I think like that, again, that self-reflection, that positive self-talk, remembering like I'm thinking of times where like there's been contentious times at my family where like at the end of the night, it would have been nice to just recognize like, yeah, that was stressful, but like, you know what, it was so amazing to be with everyone. Like I used to go to Delaware for Thanksgiving and would only see this family once a year. And like, yes, there would be times it was tough with 30, 40 people there, but also like so many good things. And like I think especially at this time of year, like maybe we hug our family a little bit more than we did in the past. And we really like emphasize like how important it is to be with them, because I know there's a lot of people who also aren't going to be able to be with their family. And we've talked a lot about like stuff with family and stress. So I think if potentially, whether if it's COVID related or any other reason why you have to be more alone during the holidays, and make this the best you can, like have an awesome day, watch your Christmas movies, make your food you want to have, and like maybe you see your family 2 weeks later. It doesn't take away the fact that like that's still the holidays. The holidays isn't about Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, New Year's, Kwanzaa, whatever it is. It's about the good times and that genuine connection you feel with your family. It doesn't matter what day it is. It's my mom and my grandma always say like Mother's Day isn't every day. It is every day. It's not just Mother's Day. Like the day is just the day, but that good time with your family is what's important.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a great takeaway and so important. I know I wasn't able to get together with my family last year, just because of travel distance and because of the pandemic. And That's what, my aunt told me. And that was one of my biggest takeaways, talking with her. Just she's like, it's just another day. As soon as it's like safe for us to get together, we will. And we can share a meal then. We can, go for a walk. We can do activities then. It doesn't have to be on a specific day. So definitely making sure that, people understand if they do have to be alone, that they should celebrate the day and celebrate their holiday, but also remember that, you'll be able to see your family soon and you'll be able to honor them any way you would like on that day as well.
Exactly. Like, I think we've all had enough of Zoom Christmas, and I think of a lot of all these Zoom things. But yeah, again, if it's a January 7th Christmas, then you know what? It doesn't matter that it's not December 25th. So it's a good point. Like, and I think there's ways that, like, even if you're alone, it still can be a great day. It doesn't have to be, again, like, that's being positively intentional in the morning. Like, okay, this isn't typical. This isn't what I want to do, but I'm going to make the best of it.
Right, exactly. I think we can definitely all take away something for this conversation. We learned about setting positive intentions, taking breaks, practicing gratitude, writing down your feelings, and honoring our family members that have passed. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on today, Jon, and sharing this with everyone about how you can avoid all the holiday stresses.
All right, thanks, Natasha. I appreciate you having me, and I hope everybody has like a wonderful holiday season in whatever way you're going to celebrate it. And The Matrix comes out on Christmas, so maybe check out Keanu in The Matrix as well.
Yes, and there's the new Harry Potter series on New Year's Day, I believe.
I know that's a good point as well.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot to do if you aren't able to get together with family on the days of the holidays. But thank you all for joining us today. Follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram for additional content. And thank you all for being here. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.